Greetings, BUSN2380 Principles of Marketing students. Welcome to this 2021 summer semester. I'm going to be your instructor. I'm Dr. McGrory. Welcome to our class. Purpose of this video is just to reach out to you, introduce myself, and say hello. And I also wanted to give you a little tour or overview of the class so that when we start on June the 1st, you're ready, you feel comfortable with all the expectations and the assignments and all, and you're ready to begin. So this is what I want to cover. I want to talk about our class schedule, make sure that you're comfortable with that. I want to talk, actually I want to kind of demonstrate our class assignments, walk you through a little bit of what you're going to be doing in Connect. And then I want you to understand the syllabus, the points, the grades, drop grades, and other assignments, all the details that are in the syllabus. All right, so let's get started with that. I'm going to start with the class schedule, and this is going to be attached to the email that I send the class, and it's also going to be available to you in PAWS. But our class does not start until June 1st, which is Tuesday, and at that time you'll be able to go into PAWS and see the materials. You'll also be able to go into Connect. Before June 1st, you can't get in, so I'm giving you this a little bit in advance. All right? Now, this is a schedule, and you're going to see that on the following pages. Notice it's 8 pages, but I like to start with some scheduling notes to answer some common questions that you may have. Oftentimes students wonder, do I have to come to campus to take tests in the online class? You know, how does that work? In this class, you never need to come to campus. We're going to do everything online asynchronously. Fancy word for saying we're not having a virtual meeting. You know, you might be working on class assignments at 2 o'clock in the morning. I might email you at 7 o'clock in the morning. So we're not doing this in real time, but we are doing it in accordance to a schedule. But we don't have to get together. There's no official class meeting. With that being said, I do follow a Tuesday meeting schedule and, kind of simulate that. And the reason that I simulate that, or I put a schedule together based on that, is so that you have, kind of a common expectation of when your due dates are. There's also a lot of research that says, quite simply, out of sight, out of mind, right? We've all experienced that. I've been an online student, I've taught online for a long time, and I know how easy it is to get focused on the things that are in front of you. So, the science says, the theory is, that if you set in your mind, I've got class on Tuesday, so I have to finish everything Monday. Maybe you'd like to just focus on, I have Monday due dates, that it'll help you stay on task. But our week is basically going to, start on Tuesday since the semester starts on Tuesday. All right, so that's the first thing to know. On the following pages, you're going to see your schedule of assignments. Let me make this bigger. There you go. You're going to see your schedule of assignments in PAWS as well as Connect. So you're going to have assignments in 2 systems. Very important that you're checking both of those systems. The most common mistake that students make is overlooking those assignments that are not in Connect. If you've used Connect before, or even if you haven't, what you have may find or maybe have experienced is that you get a kind of a laser focus. I got to log into Connect and I got to do those next assignments. And we start to forget about PAWS. And you don't want to do that. You want to be balanced and going in and out of both. But here's the thing. If you keep this schedule in front of you, it will tell you where you need to be going, what you need to be doing to complete your assignments. You're not going to miss anything if you keep this schedule in front of you. I've been teaching for a long time. I always make a schedule like this for every class that I teach, and I keep it in front of me. I just find that keeps me on track. So hopefully it will help you as well. Okay, let's see. Yep, I think I said everything. Now, here's another common question. The class is not self-paced. Yes, we're online. Many of you may have had to work online if you were fortunate enough to do that, and you know that the due dates are still there. Payroll has to go out on time. Legal contracts have to be signed on time. Quality control reports have to be processed on time. Taxes have to be paid on time, right? We all still have due dates. And that's true in this business course because business runs on time, right? So use these due dates that you're going to see in this schedule and look at the next page, page forward into the next week, so you can see what's coming down the pipe. In that way, if you know that you have family obligations, work obligations, obligations for other classes that you may be taking this summer, you can manage your time more effectively. You might notice that you have to work ahead to get things done before the due date, not after. Okay? Now, 2 chapters are due most weeks. Here's the reason. The summer semester is a 10-week semester. Fall and spring are normally about 15 weeks, so that gives you a little bit more time to space things out. But we're going to, cover all the content, the important materials that you need, so we're going to have to cover 2 chapters on certain weeks. That's why you don't want to be afraid to work ahead in that previous note. Let's look a little further. The instructor reserves the right to alter the schedule as circumstances may dictate. I really try hard not to alter that schedule, and I have to laugh a little bit because it has been an interesting year and a half, hasn't it? When we have things like COVID that hits and ice storms and, a week of snow and power outages, sometimes we have to alter the schedule. If that happens, I will be emailing you. I will be changing the schedule to make it favorable to you. I always try to support you. So, I'm not looking to change things, just want to let you know that if it happens, I will reach out to you through your Southwest email and PAWS email. Those are the 2 official channels, your PAWS email and your Southwest email. Okay, speaking of that, you're going to be looking at 2 websites for your course materials. You're going to be looking at PAWS. PAWS is our official college course management system. If you wonder what are your grades, you're going to look in our course in PAWS and look for your grades. I will email you through PAWS. If you're looking for handouts, this schedule is in essence a handout. You're going to find that in PAWS. The syllabus is going to be there in PAWS. You can even see your other classmates in PAWS, to email them. There's discussion board postings that are required. Those are going to be in PAWS. So you have a lot of different materials in PAWS for you. We're also going to use McGraw-Hill and their Connect website. Now, you may have had prior experience with Connect. It's great. Your ebook is through Connect. Okay, so you're going to access it right through Connect. Your assignments are in Connect, like you're going to have a quiz, and we'll see these interactive homework, some interactive presentations. Those are going to be out there on this Connect website. For this class, I really think you're going to love it because it has some rich resources and tools, so you'll really get to learn marketing. You're not missing anything by not being in the classroom. I think you have a very rich set of materials, okay? So we're going to be using that as well. We're going to talk more about Connect, but I will give you a little brief note here. You definitely need this digital access to Connect. It's for your book, but it is also for the assignments. I say that because if you are thinking that you're going to rent a book, a printed book, or rent a digital access code, those are typically only for the book, not for the assignments. When you enrolled in this class, our class participates in, I think it's called Inclusive Access now. Used to be called DEI, used to be called Include Ed. I think now it's called Inclusive Access. And what it means is this: you already purchased that access when you registered for the course. When you enrolled in the course, you purchased this access. So you already have it. It's already done. And you purchased it at a volume rate. We'll talk more about that later. But just know you're ready to hit the ground running on day 1. But you won't see the materials until day 1. And day 1 is Tuesday, June the 1st. Okay, so course material becomes available only on the official start date. Except I'm giving you a little sneak peek into this so you can start to feel comfortable. So let's turn the page and get started. Well, as we said, week 1 starts on Tuesday, June the 1st. And of course, we're going to start with, chapter 1. But also, whenever you're starting a new class, you need to take some time to understand what's going on. And that's part of the purpose of this video. So you're going to log into PAWS and just do a little exploration. What's under content? What's under all those different links across the top? It's good to help just feel comfortable in the environment. It's like walking into a classroom and trying to understand, how the seats are arranged and where you're going to sit. Well, in our online class, you want to get comfortable by exploring some of the links. We're going to go through the syllabus. I might stop this video and make a separate video for the syllabus just to keep it from getting too long, okay? So we'll kind of see how the timing goes. We are going to walk through this schedule, and I'm going to just help you understand, what's coming and what assignments are ahead. While we're doing the schedule, let's talk about the book again. The good news is you purchased it when you enrolled in the class, so no need to delay. Don't worry. Go ahead and start working. And we're going to walk through these assignments. Now, I'm going to ask you in this first week to go ahead and create your username in the Connect system because you have already paid for it. And when you do that, I really want to emphasize this. You need to start at the link that I provide for you, even if you have been using Connect for many semesters. The reason is, if you just go to like, you can Google Connect and all that, if you just go to a Connect website and log in, you're not going to be able to tell Connect, hey, now I have access to this course over here. The way that you do that is by starting at the website. Even if you're in 2 or 3 classes and they're all giving you this website, the very first time you must start at that website, because that's how, when you enter in your username and password, Connect goes, oh, here's that username and password, and here's the course that I need to connect to. It's through that first initial login by starting at that proper website. All right, so need you to do that. And that's what I'm saying here. Where are you going to find that information? It's going to be available to you in PAWS. So another important reason to log into PAWS on the first day. So here are the assignments. Now remember, class started June the 1st, and so you have until the 5th to do these, but do these the very first day. Do them June the 1st. Easy peasy assignments, can be done very quickly, and you get points for each one. So first of all, you're going to take this attendance quiz in PAWS. Another reason to log into PAWS on the first day. You're going to click the link for the quiz. You're going to open it up. It's one question. It's kind of like sitting in class and the teacher pulls up the class roster and goes down the roll and says, are you here? You're basically just telling me that you're here, and you're going to earn some points for that. In fact, I'm going to take attendance. I have 3 of these quizzes, attendance 1, attendance 2, attendance 3, and you're going to take those and you're going to earn points each time. There's only 3 of them, so don't miss them. If you don't do this by the deadline Saturday, June 5th, it's going to be closed and you're going to miss those easy peasy points. So don't do it. You cannot make them up. Connect. You're going to create your Connect username and password. Okay, so do that right away. That will only take a minute or 2. And you're going to introduce yourself to your class. We always do that in the first class meeting, right? You go out there and you're going to post your introduction in PAWS in the discussion board. You'll see that I've already posted my introduction, and I really do look forward to meeting you and learning about all of you in the class. It's going to be nice to meet you. Just a nice professional introduction, all right? Now, it kind of looks like that only 2 days later you have all this work due. But remember, you need to start work as soon as the class starts. So you have 7 assignments here. These 3 you can easily do on the first day, and I would suggest continuing on. Don't wait until the last minute because these things will take time. First, the Learn Smart assignment. Now I'm going to demonstrate this to you, and we'll also talk about some of this in the syllabus, but let me go ahead and say this now. The Learn Smart is interactive reading. It is your book, and it's going to take time. It's going to take time, but every single student can make a perfect score on this. You're going to go into your book. I'm going to show you this. It's going to ask you a question. If you don't know the answer, you're going to click on the link that basically says take me to my textbook. It's going to go to the page, probably to the paragraph where the answer is. The answer might even be highlighted in yellow. You can find the answer, and then you go back and you answer the question, because this is a learning. It's interactive reading. It's a great way to read. Sometimes we get to the end of the page and you're like, I read that, but what did it say? Right? I do that sometimes. So if you don't, that's great for you, but I know my mind drifts sometimes. This will help keep your mind from drifting, and it deepens your learning. So after you complete the Learn Smart, I tend to call this Learn Smart. It is your smart book, and it is the Learn Smart. Now here's an important thing about this assignment. Notice that it has to be completed by 11:55 at June 7th, but I did say that this is your textbook. And I would never want to say, oh, chapter 1 is done, and close the book and you can never look in the book again. We can't do that. So here's what happens. At 11:56, even if you have the assignment open, even if you're working, you're no longer earning points. The system will stop recording your points. Instead, it just basically is an interactive book at that point. Great for studying and things like that, but at 11:56, it doesn't earn points anymore. Okay, it goes into a mode that's called recharge mode, and when you're in recharge mode, you are not affecting your grade. So here's another really great thing. If you finish this Learn Smart, you get through all the questions, you've got that 100%, and it's not even due yet, it'll still go ahead and enter recharge mode because it's your book. And it just means that you can go in and study and read your book, and that's what recharge mode means. Recharge your brain with the content. Okay, we'll talk more about that. I'll demonstrate more. You're going to have interactive homework assignments. Now, I have put for each chapter, there's going to be 2 of these interactive homework assignments, but you only complete 1, and they're labeled. They're labeled option 1 or option 2. And to tell you the truth, they're the same assignment. They're just kind of formatted differently. One is formatted for drag and drop. One is formatted where you don't need to use the mouse. It's more keyboard controls and drop down boxes, things like that. The questions are the same. It's just the formatting is different. So we're going to talk about those as we get into the syllabus and how the points work and all that. But same assignment. These do tend to be, it says interactive homework. So it could be in the mouse sense that you're dragging to match things. That would be displayed as a drop-down box if you're not using the mouse. So interactive content on the chapter. We're going to see these. I'm going to demonstrate those. We're going to go into the quiz, and you know what a quiz is, so I'm not going to explain that, but you're going to have chapter quizzes. Here is the one thing I will tell you about the quiz. You're going to have 3 attempts on these quizzes, and I encourage you to use all 3 attempts. I do not penalize you for repeating that assignment, and in fact, when you repeat it, you're going to see different questions. You say, so why would I do that? Well, first of all, you're not going to hurt your grade. If your very first attempt at that quiz is 100%, then you've locked that in. There's no penalty for repeats, okay? But when we get to the first test, it's going to look just like a big quiz. And guess where the questions come from? They come from the pool of questions that the quiz draws from. So the more times that you take the quiz, the more exposure you have to the pool of questions, the better you will hopefully do then on the test. Okay, so I encourage you, use all your attempts. I'm not going to penalize you for that. The last assignment here is an interactive presentation. They can be short video clips, for example. They might be drag and drop portions. They might be some multiple choice questions, but you go through this interactive presentation and it has what they call parts. So you'll see kind of a little flow chart. Again, I'll show you this. And you'll go through each part and you'll complete each part, and it just further engages you in the content of the chapter. So each one of these assignments tends to approach the content in a slightly different way. I would start with the Learn Smart though, and then proceed through these other assignments. So we'll take a look at them, but these are the 4 types of assignments that you're going to complete for each chapter. We'll look ahead into week 2, and there's that, those easy peasy points, but notice that it's due on Saturday. Why is it due on Saturday? Because your attendance is something that I need to report to the college, and so we have some due dates here in the beginning part of the semester. So I do need you to get those easy peasy points. Just tell me that you're attending by answering this quiz by June the 12th. I would complete it as soon as it's open, and it'll open at the start of the week. What else here? Then we'll go into chapter 2, and when is that going to be due? Monday night, right? We're going to try to get into this pacing of 4 assignments due Monday night. So then you're going to see this big note, oh, you better look ahead because we have 2 chapters due next week. So this schedule, reference it frequently so you can see what's coming down the pipeline. And sure enough, as I look ahead, I see that 2 chapters are due. And I have another, make myself feel good, get my easy peasy points for this attendance 3rd quiz, and that's the last one. So make sure you get those points. Okay, last time you have to do that, and when is that due? Saturday. Okay. You're going to do 2 chapters. So, 4 assignments per chapter. That's 8 assignments that you have to do this week. Don't wait. Don't delay. Do a little bit every day. Maybe take one day, early on, do that Learn Smart. It's going to take some time, but then you're going to have time to think about it and kind of let your brain process it, and then go into that interactive homework, the quiz, go into that presentation. Really deepens the learning in that way. Moving forward into week 4, we are at the first test, and this is some things that has some things I want to explain. You see there's an open and close date. Opens Tuesday, June the 22nd, closes Monday, June the 28th. At what time? 11:55. Okay. So you do have a module test. The module test is just a big quiz, and we'll talk more about the details of this when we get into the syllabus. But you also have some other work. Specifically, you have a module discussion, and that's going to be in PAWS. So the module discussion is going to be like this. You're going to log into PAWS, and you're going to go to the discussion board, and you're going to see the module discussion, and there's going to be a list of questions. And as you look through that list of questions, I hope that there's maybe one question, at least one, that you are like, yeah, I want to talk about that. And you're going to make your initial post into the discussion board. Now that initial post is due 48 hours in advance of the due date. So the due date is the 28th. 24 hours early is the 27th. 24 hours earlier is the 26th. Let's try to, get that done by the 25th. If you are posting on the 27th, I'm not going to give you points for that, okay? Because you haven't allowed your classmates time to respond, and that's the next step. In addition to making your initial post, you're going to go back out there, give everybody time to make their initial post, and you're going to go out there and you're going to respond to 2 of your classmates, not to your own post, but to 2 of your classmates' post. So, in some way that extends the conversation. You're going to respond in a meaningful way. So we'll talk more about those also when we get into the syllabus, but just know that you have this module discussion and you have this module test. And so these 2 things are required during this time period. But, don't wait until the last minute, because that post is due 48 hours in advance. Here's my tip for success. This is how I would approach this. I would, as soon as it opens on June 22nd, I would open the discussion posting, and I would look at those questions. And here's why. It's going to jog my memory of some things that we have talked about in those first 4 chapters. And as I write my initial post, I'm going to have to put some thought into it. I might go through my book, remind myself of some content, use that to, inform my writing. And then my mind will be really in a place where I'm ready for that test. Now, these discussions, are 30 points. The test is 100 points. So obviously the test is the priority. But I'm using that discussion to get the blood flowing and to get my mind set for that test. I might do some studying, do some reviewing, then I'm going to take that test. You have 3 attempts at the test. So as you plan this week, you're not going to be penalized for taking the test again. So what I would do is I would set, my ideal time. Maybe I'm going to get up on Saturday or, Wednesday or Friday, whatever day it is for you. Or maybe you like to do it in the evening, or at night, and you're going to take that test. And just let's see how the score comes out. And hopefully you get the best score possible. Take a break, maybe come back the next day. Maybe study some things where you're like, gosh, that question really hit me hard. Now, it's open note and it's open book. So you're going to have your book, but it's hard. Sometimes you can't always find everything right away. Maybe you go back and review some of your quiz questions, your Learn Smart book. Maybe you go back and review a little bit, and maybe you take the test again. Try to get that grade up even higher. It's not going to have any impact, no negative impact on your grade, your first attempt, whichever one is higher. So you have 3 attempts to get the best score possible. Now, you still got 2 more responses that you need to make to your classmates' posting. So as you've taken that test, maybe gotten at least, one or two, maybe two, at least one, but maybe two attempts, maybe three attempts in on that test, then you start going back and reading the postings that your classmates have done. And when you see that somebody has written a post that is intriguing to you, you respond to that in a way that extends the conversation. You know that we're not going to do like or something like that. You're going to have to talk a little bit. I'll talk about that more in a little bit. So this is the primary focus for this particular week. But let's say that in those first 3 weeks of class, you hit a bump in the road. You started late, something went wrong, you had family emergency, you had work overload, something happened. Whatever that was, you missed some of your assignments. Now, if you missed all 4 assignments for all 4 chapters, woo, I feel for you, because you're going to have your work cut out for you. Because during this exact same time frame where you're working on a 100-point test and a 30-point discussion, I will also allow you to do makeup work. Now, I do not reopen assignments. I don't do that. What you're going to see is that I've made copies of those chapter 1 through 4 assignments, and they are preceded by the word late. It'll say late chapter 1 learn smart, late chapter 1 interactive homework, late interactive presentation or quiz. Okay, that late work, when it's time to post grades after this due date has passed, I will go out there and I will see what kind of late work has been completed. If, when I look in PAWS, let's say chapter 4 learn smart, you just didn't get to it, you have a 0 in PAWS right now for that grade. When I look at the late work, if I see that you have completed it, maybe you've made a perfect score, and I hope you do, especially if you've missed it. If it's a 20-point assignment, I'm going to apply a 10% penalty. It turns out to be 2 points, 10%. So in PAWS, I'm going to post 18 out of 20. Now, maybe that stings just a little bit, but it is a lot better than a 0. It gives you an opportunity to make a good grade in the class. We said business runs on time, and so it does, but this is an opportunity for you to raise those scores, anything that you missed. But what if you were already happy with all your grades? You completed your assignments, you completed them on time, you just want to focus on the test and the discussion. You can do that, absolutely. These are not required. This late work is not required. You can, however, use it as a study tool. Okay, so for students who are satisfied with current scores on these chapters, you are not required to complete the late assignments, but you are free to do so. I'll review your score on the late assignment, apply the 10% penalty to the score, and if the late score is higher than your current score in PAWS, then I'll update PAWS. So I will only benefit you. I'm on your team, I'm on your side, I want you to do well, but we are learning. Due dates are important. That is, that's part of business. And so we have to run business on time, right? The IRS doesn't like it if you submit those forms past the due date. If you are filing, your payroll to get your employees paid, they will not like it if that paperwork is submitted late. If you have a court date to defend your patent or your trademark, the judge will look, poorly on you if you don't show up on time. So that these due dates apply, and that's what I want to encourage you to do. But we do have bumps in the road, and this is a safety net for you. But if you have everything on time, then this is just a study tool for you. It's a resource for you. Let's talk about the test. I really hope you don't miss the test. I really hope that is a priority for you because it's 100 points. I'm giving you a week to take that test, so it's really your adult responsibility to make that plan to take that test. Here's what you do. Open up that cell phone, put it as a reminder, put it in your digital calendar. That's something you can do with as many of these dates as you want from this document. Some people I sometimes like to have like a nice something, calendar to write in so that I can see things quickly, but I'm also very much a digital person, so I would just look at this document very frequently. Whatever works for you, but don't miss a 100-point test, because you need that. But if you do, some family emergency, sickness, things like that, you will have an opportunity to do a makeup test at the end of the semester. So if you are noticing that this late work is very scheduled, then you are catching on. You will only have this chapter 1. I say you're catching on to kind of the way I think. This chapter 1 through chapter 4 assignments, this is your only opportunity to do late work. We're not going to revisit these when we're at the end of the semester. For this test, if you miss it, we're going to move on, but at the end of the semester, I will not reopen the test. There will be a copy of the test. It will be marked as late, and if you choose to take that test, you'll incur a 10% penalty, but it's much better than a 0, right? Now, there is one thing that I do not allow you to make up, and that is the module discussion. These are 30-point assignments, and here's the reason that I don't have this marked or scheduled with any late opportunities. It's because you're communicating with your classmates. This is your opportunity to sit down at the conference table with your board, right? Your classmates are your board, and you have this, list of questions, and you are going to be the expert, and you're going to make that initial post where you say, hey classmates, hey work team, here's what I think, here's some of my thoughts in regards to the answer to this question. And they're going to reply. Maybe they agree, maybe they disagree. It's okay to disagree, because we're not really going to say, I don't think so, you're just wrong. It's going to be rooted in, but wait a minute, didn't the book also say this? What do we think about this? Oh yeah, well, the book did say that, and let's think about this, and let's think about that. That is a great it's a great business conversation. It's a great intellectual conversation. I was going to say academic, but it's more than academic, because this is how business ideas are formed. So it's a great intellectual way to converse in that discussion board. And if the due date has already passed, how are you having those types of rich conversations with your classmates? So once the discussion board is closed, it's closed. Okay. So you'll see this, and if that was too quick for you, you have this information and you can read through it again. I'm going to look at week 5 only to say no more of those little easy peasy points, but you do have 2 chapters due. Week 6, you have 1 chapter due. And looking ahead, you have your next test in week 7, so you can start to pace this out. Now, the same type of pattern is what we're following here. You have this discussion. Your initial post needs to be made 48 hours in advance. If you ask me, I would do that the day it opens on Tuesday. Go ahead and refresh my mind, get back into the chapter, think about these questions, make that initial post. Then I would turn my focus to the test, which is 100 points, so very important. And I would make sure, perhaps the following day, depending on what your schedule allows, take that first attempt. See how I do. Maybe check the discussion board, see if there's a post I'd like to respond to. Then maybe the next day, as one of my 2 required response postings, then maybe the next day, take that test again, see if I can get that score up even higher. If not, that's okay, because it's not going to harm you, right? It does not detract. You can only go up. But what if I missed an assignment from chapter 5, 6, or 9? Well, this is that opportunity for these assignments, the one and only opportunity to do late work. Not going to reopen. You'll go out there, you'll find these late assignments that are marked as late, and you can take them. You'll get that 10% penalty. Or maybe you go ahead and open some of those late assignments and do them again just as a practice tool. If it raises your grade, that'll be great, but it will not pull it down. Okay, only in favor of you. Isn't that nice? What if I miss test 2? I hope this isn't a pattern. Right? Look, the goal, with all this talk about late work, the goal is to do it on time. But if you have an emergency, if something happens at the end of the semester is when you're going to have the makeup time for test. But it's not going to be a time with nothing else. This is going to start to pile up on you. So you got to get this stuff done on time. but you will have that opportunity if that's required. Can you make up the module discussion? You may not make up the module discussions. Looking ahead, 2 chapters due next week. There's our 2 chapters. You'll work on those. This was week 8. Going into week 9, 2 more chapters. A little bit every day. Little bit every day. If you're feeling a lot of anxiety, you're feeling that pressure, on your chest, I tell you what alleviates that. It's once you get started. So for right now, you can't start. This is right now, today is May 27th. You can't get started yet. And so take that deep breath and say, I'm going to do it one at a time. That's how I can do. I can only do one thing at a time. So I'm going to do one thing and then the next thing and the next thing. The only thing that I'm cautioning you to do is to avoid waiting until Monday, August 2nd, because you're going to have trouble, right? If you wait until the assignment is due, it's really going to be hard in this course to succeed in that way. I'm not sure you can. Okay, so then finally we're in week 10, and how many weeks did we say there was in the summer semester? I think we said there were 10. So that means this is the final week. It's not a free week, it's the final week. So we have our final exam. So there's test 3, but it's not comprehensive. It's just going to cover 11, 12, 13, and 14, those chapters. Now here's an important difference. Up to this point, I've said if you miss test 1, we can make it up at the end of the semester. If you miss test 2, we can make it up at the end of the semester. Well, there is no makeup for test 3 because we are at the end of the semester. So it has to be completed on time. Of course, you know that there's no makeup for the discussions, but you also know that there is going to be a required discussion. What is my approach? My approach would be on Tuesday, August 3rd. Get into that discussion, start kind of using my book to refresh my mind. Ooh, I think I'm going to answer this question. Let me, look up some of the material as it relates to chapters 11, 12, 13, and 14. Tell you a common mistake that students make is they go, oh, I remember, I think there was something about that in chapter 1. Yes, but that was an overview. And I don't want you to talk about chapter 1. I want you to answer those questions from what you now know based on chapters 11, 12, 13, and 14. Okay? That's why the discussions are not open from the start of the semester. I want to wait until you have really gone through all the chapter material relevant to those questions. So get your brain refreshed by working on those questions. Make your nice post. Then go to the test, 100-point test. Do your best, right? Maybe the next day you start out and you say, let me see if anybody's made a post that I want to respond to. If not, that's okay. Maybe take the test again, see if you can get that score even higher. If you started out with 100%, then you just pat yourself on the back because you're doing a good job. Okay, but now we have three different late work categories. Well, what do? This late work is for your chapter assignments. If you did miss one of those assignments along the way, you do want to allocate time to make sure that you do that. 10% penalty, of course. If not, if you want to use those assignments as a study tool, you know that they are there. If you missed test number 1, this is going to be your time to go in there and make up that test. 10% penalty. If you missed test number 2, again, this is your time to do that. Hopefully you did not miss like all of this, right? Then you would really be in trouble. Again, cannot make up any of the module discussions. So that's kind of our pattern, and at the end of our 10 weeks you'll be looking at the sunshine, but going into the fall semester, and I hope that you register for classes to get that done early. Now I'm at the 39-minute mark, about maybe almost 40 minutes. Let me go ahead and jump into the syllabus a little bit. I do think that we'll do the assignment demonstrations in another video, but let me go ahead and switch over to the syllabus while we're talking about that. So here's our syllabus. I'm going to attach this to the email, but where can you go to get it once the class opens on June 1st? You can go into PAWS. It's a handout. It's always going to be there in PAWS. Now, for the purposes of this video, I've kind of remove some of the information, but of course you'll have my email address because I'm going to be emailing you these documents. I communicate with you via Southwest official channels, and those channels are PAWS email and Southwest email, not Hotmail, Gmail, Ymail, AOL, BellSouth, Comcast, not those. We need to use our Southwest email, okay? I check email a lot. If you leave a voicemail, it will go to my email, and I will respond to your email. I'm not going to call you, especially during COVID. I'm at home. But part of the reason for that is you oftentimes call me or, even email me at, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm probably not going to respond to you at 2 o'clock. I may not respond to you at 9 or 10 o'clock. But if you are, during the day, yeah, I'm going to probably respond to that email, even on, weekends and things. Now, I have family obligations, right? Don't be expecting that 30-second response, that kind of thing, because I do have family obligations, and I sleep and eat and all those kinds of things. And so, we have to be respectful of each other's times. But please know, email is the best way to communicate, and I can answer your questions really well via email. Now, here's what you got to do. You got to tell me which class you're in. You got to tell me what the problem is, right? I can't do this assignment, well, if we're on the phone, I'm going to say, what assignment? So in the email, go ahead and tell me. I am working on that Chapter 3 interactive video presentation, and every time I click on it, what? Computer error? I get this error message. Okay, I can help you, because I can't help you. I can tell you the number to call for Connect technical support. Let's get you, set up and get that fixed. Or we can say, you say, I am convinced that the answer is this, and it keeps marking it wrong. Okay, well then let's start to find in the book what is the correct answer, and let's do that. And we can do that through email. I have some guidelines for you out in PAWS in regards to kind of office hours, and a great thing that students have started to do that I love, take a picture of that screen. That is a really great thing. If you know how to do a screenshot on your computer, that is very helpful. A little snippet tool, any of those. But if you want to pull out your cell phone camera and take a picture of it and then email me that picture, okay, that's very helpful. All right, so that's just a little about the contact information. We've got course description. We have a couple of the learning objectives for the class, and let's talk about the book. Once again, you purchased this book, the digital access, the digital book with the access to the assignments when you enrolled in the class, and you made that purchase at a volume discount price. That book is the marketing book. It's the 7th edition. You can see it's by Gruel and Levy, and it's a McGraw-Hill book. Now, notice this. For our class, digital access is required. The required digital access must include SmartBook with LearnSmart and Connect. Now, here's a big caution. Rentals will not provide the access. And what you're saying is, no, but it's a digital rental. No, that's to the book only, and it will not provide the access that you need. You have to have the digital access not just to the book, but also to the assignments. So if it's a lot cheaper, you may want to just investigate whether or not you're actually getting what you need. Okay, so you did already purchase that when you enrolled in the course, so you're ready to hit the ground running on day one. If you need a printed book, look at it, see this little red star right there? Here it is down here. After digital access to our Unique Connect website, is purchased, is made, then it's possible to purchase an optional print book as an additional thing if you want it. If you don't want it, you don't have to get it. Most students find that the ebook, that digital book with the Smart Book, LearnSmart with the assignments, most students find that to be sufficient, but that's going to be an option for you if you need that printed. So here's page 2 and those points that students like to see. So right away up here at the top, assessment and grading, method of evaluation. This is page 2 of the syllabus, and here's those easy peasy points that I was talking about for those attendance quizzes. And so you don't want to miss those. Make sure that you're answering those before the assignment is due. And look at that. For your introduction, 10 points just for that professional introduction that we talked about. Now, no drop grade, so make sure you do these. They're not going to be reopened either, so make sure you do these before the due date. And then here's your, creating your Connect username, and you have to do that anyway in order to complete your chapter assignments. So if you do this by the due date that's shown in your schedule and do it correctly, 10 points for that. Now, what do I mean by correctly? I've already told you that you must start at the website that I'm going to provide for you. It's going to be available to you in PAWS, and you're going to go there and you're going to, either log in with your existing username and password, or you're going to create a new one. Now, when you log in and it connects with our course, the thing that is very important is that your first name and last name for that profile is set to the same first name and last name that the college has on the college's official roster. And I really need you to do that in order to earn the points, but in order to proceed with your Connect assignments. There's lots of problems if you don't. One is that I won't be able to reconcile your name, who you are, with your registration in the class. And so I might think that you're not actually a student in the class, that you just somehow got into the wrong class, and that kind of happens all the time, and I might knock you out of the class. And then you're trying to get your assignments done, but you've been knocked out because you didn't follow the process, the requirements, which are use the first name and last name that are on file with the college. The second problem is it introduces errors into the grading. This is a manual process for me, and as students use a variety of different names that are not aligned with what the college has on file, it really requires a lot of back and forth. And it may sound like a small complaint, but when you get that wrong grade, it's oftentimes upsetting. And it's upsetting to me because I want your grade to be accurate. So I need your help to make sure that your grade is accurate. I need you to register into Connect with the first name and last name that are on file with the college. Now, you use whatever email address that you want to register. You can use your Southwest email, or you can use an email, any other email address, Gmail, Hotmail, something maybe you check frequently. When you do that, just make sure, and I encourage you to use whatever email address you want, but your first name and last name needs to be whatever it is in the official class roster. So for example, when you go into PAWS, the name that you see, that's your name as it is on file with the college. Okay, so you're going to create that Connect username by the due date to get those points. You can do it correctly, get those points, right? And you have to do this anyway as you get into your assignments. Let me scroll this up a little bit. And look at this one. This one's a biggie, 200 points. Well, we have 11 these are chapter assignments. These four things right here, these are our chapter assignments. Let me these are our chapter assignments. So this is the biggie at 200 points. There are 11 chapters. These are the Learn Smart assignments, 20 points each. Now, 11 times 20 would be 220, but I just have 200 here. That's because you have one drop grade. So your lowest grade, we're going to just throw that whole thing out. So in terms of the points possible, since we throw the whole assignment out, then it's like having 10 chapters instead of 11 chapters. So 200 points possible there. Not only do you have those makeup opportunities, but you also get a drop grade. Okay, what about these interactive homework assignments? Well, 11 chapters, these are 10 points each. And we throw out the lowest grade, so that means it's kind of like having 10 chapters. 10 chapters times 10 points, your top 10 scores times 10 points is going to be 100. Same thing with the quizzes, 11 chapters, but we're only going to count your highest 10 chapter quiz scores. Throw the lowest one out, that's your drop grade, and that means 100 points. Okay, now let me give you a cautionary note here. Sometimes students look at this and they say, well, look, here's 10 points for this homework chapter, here's 10 points for this quiz chapter, so I'm not going to do the Learn Smart, right? The problem with that is that you are in effect canceling out all your other work. If you think of this just from a mathematical perspective, okay, 20 points plus 20 more points, but instead of this 20 points you get a 0. That means you only have 20 out of 40 points for that chapter, just looking at these 3 assignments. Well, that's an F because that's half. 20 divided by 40, that's like 2 divided by 4, that's like 1/2, that's like 50%. So really, there's no advantage in skipping assignments. It will negatively impact your grade. I really do want you to do all 4 chapter assignments in order to get the best grade possible. So make sure you plan time for that. Again, the Learn Smart assignments, 20 points, they're going to take really a lot of time. But truthfully, they're probably the easiest assignment. They take time, but you can quickly look up all the answers and get that perfect score and learn a lot as you do so. Then you're going to apply that knowledge in your interactive homework for 10 points. Then you're going to assess yourself with that quiz, 10 points, which, as you do that, you're actually studying for the test. The test is 100 points. Okay. Then you're also going to do these interactive presentations. Now, this is kind of like attending your class lecture and participating in that. 5 points for that. But that's still 50 points. Think of 10 chapters, your top 10 grades, but there's actually 11 chapters. So earn those full points, get those 50 points. Now, module discussions, let's just remember you cannot make these up. They cannot be done late. There is no drop grade. 3 module discussions, all 3 you have to do, 30 points each, total of 90 points. It's almost a test grade, right? This is half a test grade right here. Okay, finally, you have the test. And as you look through this, you see that the test, just by the points, has the most impact on your grade. So 3 module test, you know that 3rd one you definitely have to do on time, but you don't want to get into this late, constantly losing 10%. It's not going to go well if you're doing that for a lot of assignments. But those tests are 100 points. Of course, you have your 3 attempts so that you can do your absolute best. By the end of the semester, you will have had the opportunity to earn 875 points. Okay? That's great. I hope you earn perfect 875 points. But let me scroll down a little bit further. However, your points add up, this determines how your grade comes out in the course. So as long as you get above 787.5 points, you'll be in that A range. If you're between 700 and 787.49, then you're in that B range, right? So you want to shoot for these top tiers, and you can see how the points distribute down through there. How do you calculate your grade? Well, you look at your grades in PAWS. Very important because you're getting feedback there as well. So here's the kind of technical method. This is how you add up, and this is how you divide to come up with your grade. But then I walk you through an example. Anna Apple here goes through an example of calculating her grade, so you can use that as an example. Now we get into this detailed explanation of assignments, and we're coming up on an hour, and so let me kind of walk you through some of these. Some of this we've already talked about, but it is explained in detail, and I think it will make you feel more comfortable with the class if you'll take some time to go through this. When you miss one of your Connect assignments, you will have, during the exact same time as the testing time, it opens and closes the same time as the test, the opportunity to earn those points back. I do not reopen the assignments. Assignments are not reopened for you. Instead, you're going to see a copy of the assignment. It will begin with the prefix late, and you'll know that if you're sitting pretty and all assignments have been completed, that is just a study tool. But if you need to make up an assignment, you'll look at your grades in PAWS and you'll say, oh, I see I'm missing in PAWS. I have a 0 for this chapter 3 interactive presentation. Then you'll go to that late assignment and you'll do your best. Whatever your score is, I'm going to subtract 10% when I post that into PAWS. Your final grade in the course is calculated using the values in PAWS. So some people get stressed out. They look at Connect, and Connect averages up your attempts and all that. But Connect is not following our syllabus. The syllabus is the guide, and it says your highest grade is the grade that we're going to record and put that into PAWS, and that's how we calculate your grade. But for this late work, I'll post it into PAWS. Okay? Makeup in regards to the test, and again, this is a reminder of things that we talked about in the schedule. There's no makeup for the Module 3 test. You must complete that on time. Module 1 and 2 test, you'll have the opportunity to do those again only at the end of this semester. So this late work is not arbitrary. You don't just go in and do the late work at your own pace. Once again, the course is not self-paced. It is scheduled. And so in the scheduled time period, which for makeup test is at the end of the semester, that's when you'll go in and you'll open a copy of either test 1 or test 2, whichever you've missed. And again, there's a 10% penalty. Just a reminder, the module discussions cannot be made up. You have to complete those during the time that they open and close, because this is about communicating with your classmates. So you have to do it during that time. Read this, make sure that you understand it. We've talked about it a lot. A little bit more information about the attendance quizzes, easy points. I hope that you will do those on time. No makeups, no drops on that. Introduction, same thing there. Do a nice professional introduction. The whole class is going to be reading that. You, of course, want to put your best foot forward with proper spelling, grammar, capitalization, things like that. You're going to create your Connect username. We've talked about that. You're going to use the first name and last name that are on file with the college. Always making sure. Have to have that digital access to the assignments as well as the ebook. They're actually integrated, so that's kind of cool. All right, Learn Smarts. Let's talk a little bit more in depth about those. There were some things that I alluded to that now we need to get a little bit more in depth. As we said, these are 20-point assignments, and you earn points based on the percentage of questions completed. This is different than a quiz. On a quiz, if I give you 10 questions and you miss one, you go, okay, I completed all 10, but my grade is at, 90%, let's just say, right? Well, it's different with this. If you had 10 questions, and you're going to have a lot more than 10 questions, but if you had 10 questions in a Learn Smart, if you miss one of those questions, the Learn Smart will give you a replacement question. And that replacement question will be asking about the same content, the same outcome of the chapter that the other question that you missed asked. Now remember, you don't have to necessarily miss them. You can click on the link to the book. It will take you to the page, to the paragraph in the book. You can read, get the answer, go back to the question, and answer the question. Okay, so how do we come up with a score then if you have to answer correctly all these questions? Well, it says an incorrectly answered question does not reduce your question count. Instead, an incorrectly answered question results in another question on the same content. Your score is determined by your progression to completion, which requires answering each question correctly. But don't worry, the questions include links to the ebook. Remember, it's integrated, and the ebook will highlight that critical information based on your answers to questions. So Learn Smart assignments measure mastery and promote reading the ebook for comprehension, and that is important. I struggle with my mind wandering also, and this interactive reading style really helps you deepen your learning. It helps you pay attention. Your time is much more productive. Scroll this up a little bit. These assignments are required. However, it says beware. Remember, this is your book, okay? So we would never want to take the book away from you. We wouldn't want to say, well, the due date has passed, and so chapter 1 is closed and you can never go into chapter 1. That's not going to be the case. Instead, what's going to happen is you will not earn points after the due date and time passes. Now, here's what I mean. The assignment is due at 11:55. You open the assignment before that, 11:30. And you're working and you're working and you're not even paying attention to the time. And all of a sudden, the clock strikes 11:56. You're not earning points anymore. You're still in it. You're still working. You don't get knocked out, but you're not earning the points anymore. Okay? So be aware of that. That's my, beware. These assignments are required. Learn Smart assignments can always be re-entered. However, it stops affecting your grade. Even if you start the assignment before the due date and time, you stop earning points the moment that the due date and time occurs. By working Learn Smart assignments to completion of all questions prior to the due date and time, you're going to earn full credit, and you can do that. Okay, and I think everyone should earn perfect scores, and oftentimes students do. If you get rushed and there's one assignment you don't finish, remember, consequently your score is lower, remember we're going to drop your lowest grade. Now you also have that makeup, so you have a lot of opportunities to do well, but you're going to have to invest the time. You either invest it on the front and get full points, or you invest it later trying to do all the makeup and the stress and rushing, right? Now you have the interactive homework. Let's talk a little bit more about that, because I said you have an option here to do option 1 or option 2. So there will be Connect interactive homework assignments for each chapter we cover, and for each chapter you'll be presented with 2 options of the same assignment to ensure accessibility. You're only required to complete one of the 2 options because the content is the same. It's the same. So for example, you're going to notice that option number 1 of the assignment employs drag and drop. It's difficult for people who maybe have arthritis, who have limited motor skills, who are visually impaired. So if you like drag and drop and you want to do the drag and drop, by all means do. Or you might notice that option number 2 of the assignment is the same assignment, but it uses keyboard commands, drop down boxes that are a little easier to navigate. For a given chapter, the 2 options are the assignment are the same. The difference is the interface. You're only required to complete one of the options for the chapter. If you complete both, your highest score, whichever of those 2 interactive homework options, is the one that's going to be recorded for your final grade. Since each option of this assignment is the same, you only earn points for one. Don't do both, skip one of the others, and then at the end of the semester say, but Dr. McGrory, I did both of those interactive homework assignments, and give me points for those. That should count instead. That's not the deal. The deal is as it's laid out in the syllabus. They're the same assignment. You don't get double points for doing the same thing twice, okay? It's about doing each of the different 4 assignments. So you're going to pick one of them, but look at that, I'm giving you your option, and I'm even letting you do both, okay? Lots of opportunities for success here. So this is actually what it looks like. We're going to go into Connect in another video, but this is what it's going to look like. Option 1 of 2, complete by drag and drop. That's how it's labeled in the system. You're going to see that. Option 1, interactive homework. See how it's the same? Option 2 of 2, complete by drop down or keyboard controls. So you'll pick whichever one. It doesn't have to be the same every time. You can mix and match. Again, you can do them both if you want. Again, these assignments are the same but configured for different accessibility options. So option number 1 employs drag and drop. Option number 2 employs keyboard controls. You're required to complete only one of the options for this chapter. Now, there's no time limit on these for the interactive homework, but they must be fully completed by the due date and time. The homework assignments include video cases or case-based scenarios that require critical thinking. You're expected to apply the concepts presented in the chapter in the homework. You may take each interactive homework assignment and look at that, folks, look at that, unlimited number of times prior to the due date, since only a few different videos or scenarios exist. Now notice this is in bold, trying to get your attention. Since only a few different videos or scenarios exist and you can do this an unlimited number of times, I'm not going to give you the feedback right away, because what I don't want to do is have you go in there and you just click whatever and you submit it, and then I give you the answers, and the system gives you the answers, and then you just go right back in and say, okay, the answer was A, the answer was B. We don't want to get into that. I want you to think about it. So when are you going to get the feedback? You're going to get the detailed feedback after the due date. After the due date. So here's what you need to do. Go back and look. Make sure that you go back and say, well, what? I missed that, because it's going to increase your understanding, and you might have some similar version of that on a test. You won't have the exact interactive, but it might be a question on that subject, and so you'll deepen your understanding so that you'll do better on the test. Okay? Now, nevertheless, the student will know the total score immediately, so you'll know overall how you did. And of course, I'll post your grade into PAWS after the assignment due date has passed. Let's see here. Be sure to review the detailed feedback after the due date. For each attempt, you start over. No points are deducted for multiple attempts. So try to get that perfect score. And I recognize that you're going to have to think about it a little bit. And once again, that lowest interactive homework score going to be dropped. So remember, we have 11 chapters. We're going to take your 10 highest, right? Connect chapter quizzes. There will be a Connect chapter quiz or quiz for each chapter. Approximately 10 multiple choice questions, 60-minute time limit. That's plenty of time, right, for your 10 questions. And you can take it up to 3 times. Remember, I mentioned that, up to 3 times prior to the due date. And I encourage you to take it all 3 times, because the questions are going to be randomized, randomly selected from a pool. So each attempt is probably going to be a unique set of questions. Since the quizzes are your study tool for the exam, you're encouraged to use all 3 attempts. And for each attempt, you are not penalized. There is no penalty for multiple attempts. Why not? Why not do it all 3 times? Give yourself the time to do that. That way you also get your best possible score, and you're not going to hurt your score. If you start off and you make that 100, you can go back in a second time, do your best to answer those next set of questions. If you do worse, it's not going to pull down that 100, right? Okay, again, the lowest score will be dropped. We take your top 10 scores in that category because you have a drop grade in that category. Chapter interactive presentations. Now this might be a little bit new, different for you. You're going to go in, it says you have these required interactive presentation activities, and think of it as going to the class lecture, except it's more interactive. So you're going to earn points by successfully completing the activity, whatever it happens to be, before the due date and time. And how you do it is you advance through a series of parts. Now, this is what it looks like down here. When you first open up the interactive presentation, you'll be on part 1, and that's what this is showing. When you finish that part, don't click the next button. Instead, click the next part, and you don't click next or submit or anything until you've completed each part. Okay? So that sometimes is a little tricky for students, so make sure you're aware of that. Let's see. So, okay, I'm telling you that here. Interactive presentations require students to advance through a series of parts. A part may require a student to watch a short video. Another part may require the student to answer multiple choice questions. For each interactive presentation assignment, the activity is drawn from a pool of activities. So, each student may have a unique experience. You can do this multiple times because, look at here, you have unlimited attempts on this assignment, and you're not penalized for multiple attempts. So great learning opportunity. Only your highest score is recorded. This means that you can use the interactive presentation exercises to engage in the course content. Now, these are only 5 points, but 5 points across 10 chapters adds up to about half of a test grade. 50 points is half of a test grade. So you want to do them and you want to do well. But this is about learning, and I hope you're seeing that through each one of these exercises. We're immersing you into this marketing, and you're going to have a lot of exposure and a lot of chance to really do some deep dive learning. Okay? Now, we've already talked a little bit about this, the discussion post with required responses. Each time there's a module test, we're going to cover 3 modules. Each time there's a module test, it says there are 3 modules with participation assignments that are due. You are going to make an initial post 48 hours, 2 days prior to that due date, okay? And then prior to the actual closing of that discussion posting of that week, you're going to respond to 2 of your classmates. Now, I've already indicated this would be my approach. I would begin the week, pick out the question that I think I want to answer, do a little research in my book, formulate a nice response, make the post. That starts to get my mind into those chapters. Then I would take the test, give it my best first attempt. Then, think about your makeup work, think about those study tools and how you want to schedule those in. Maybe take a break, do some studying, do a second attempt on that test, see if you can raise that score up a little bit. Okay? All right, so we've talked about that. Discussions are in PAWS, maximum of 30 points. Make sure you're following that. Now, this is what's going to happen. If you're not looking at that class schedule, you're going to go out there and connect, and Connect is going to show you that there's a test, and you're going to take the test, and you're going to forget about these 30 points. And think about it, that's the equivalent of a Learn Smart plus a chapter interactive homework. 30 points. So it's not the end of the world. It's not the 100-point test. Glad that you'll take that. But you need to do it. Can you make it up? No. Remember, it has to be done during that time. You've got the class schedule. Follow the class schedule. All right, you can do this. You can do this. Now, let's talk about this post. These are not term papers. They are not big, huge writing assignments. Don't want you to think that. They are also not a trifle, okay? This is an intellectual conversation that you are having with your classmates, and this is what I mean by intellectual. Where you get into trouble and make bad choices on the job is when you go, well, this is what I think. I've always thought that. I've thought that since I was 3 years old. I've thought that, and this is what we're going to do. Or, you know, I remember I saw, and you just kind of arbitrarily in your gut. Those are kind of you got to be careful about those gut decisions. They will lead you astray because there are reasons that you feel the way you do, and it's not necessarily rooted in the data. Let me give you this example. I'm out on I go into the boardroom. All, your classmates are seated around the conference room table, and they say, we're going to launch this marketing campaign, and we're going to launch it June 30th. If we launch it, we expect lots of orders to come in, right? We know we're going to get big, so will we have enough product to fulfill the orders? Okay, well, how much product do you need? I need 300 widgets. We want 300 widgets in inventory. As the person who's come in, you go, sure, I think so. Sure, I feel like it. My gut tells me, yeah. What are your board members? What is the class thinking about that? You feel like you can. Well, what is that based on? What is that feeling based on? Well, what if I instead looked at a report and I based this on data from the production room floor, my manufacturing people, and my manufacturing people said, you know what, we produce, we produce 100 a month, and so that means, let's say from now to the end of June is 1 month, so that means I can make about 100 widgets in a month, right? Well, how many do I have in inventory? Well, if I have 200 in inventory, then I will have the 300 ready. If I have 25 in inventory, I don't think my gut is right. I see those people are working so hard, right? Okay, let me get back to the point. Do you see the difference? The example I'm giving you, I'm trying to show you the difference between I think, I feel, my gut says, and basing the conversation and the interaction on facts, right? On some kind of data. Well, when you see the discussion questions, you're going to look through those questions and you're going to have some feelings about there's going to be hopefully a question that you're passionate about with, marketing. That's really kind of the point, right? But you don't want to go into the discussion and say, I feel like this is wrong. I feel like this is right. My gut says this, and I've always thought that, and it's based on this. Because part of this conversation that we're having is to inform ourselves, right? And we do that by listening to our classmates, and we do that by preparing, researching. I don't want to, this is not a research paper, but we're going to do it by, how about looking at the chapter? We go back into the book and we go, you know what, this is that paragraph where, yeah, they said that if we do this, it can have a negative effect. So I don't think we should do that. And the book said, now, the book is done a lot of research. Have you ever looked in the index to see how many references textbooks have? They are referencing studies and studies and studies, right? So their commentary is based on the research. So when you reference your textbook, you are bringing their research into the discussion. Now, the situation can make a difference. So one of your classmates who's going to respond to your post is not going to earn points if they say, I agree. That's not extending the conversation. Like, What if you came in, you talked about production, and the people at the table said, like, no, right? They gave you a thumbs up. That would be it'd make for much shorter meetings. Maybe I like that. Now, instead, they would say, well, the situation right now is that we're having a hard time getting the raw materials. So even though our production is 100 widgets a month, I'm not sure that we will be able to produce 100 widgets next month because our raw materials are difficult. See how that's based in fact? So if you were looking at these questions, one of your classmates may say, I do see what you're saying, but also, did you notice that at this point in the book, they said something a little bit different? And I think that's what applies here. Another classmate may say, yes, but I was looking at the news the other day. I was looking at CNN Money or something reputable. I was looking at this certain website. I saw it on News Channel 3, and here's a link to that. Or I don't, on Channel 5, Channel 24, whichever channel. And they said this. Okay, now you can't just say, I heard, well, my Aunt Fanny said, well, my Aunt Fanny says a whole lot of things. Okay, not all of them are true. Okay, so we have to make sure that we are providing sources. Let's get to the syllabus because all that is, we're talking about the syllabus. You want to make a meaningful post. You want it to be clearly stated. You want to make it related to the class materials. Make sure that I can understand how it's related to the class materials. You're also going to respond to 2 other students, not to yourself. That doesn't count. You can respond as part of that thread of conversations, but it's not going to count as one of your 2 responses. You have to go respond to somebody else. The student must respond to 2 other students. The student must post in a timely way. Remember, that first post has to be 48 hours in advance. Proper punctuation, spelling, and grammar. Sometimes it gets so bad, you lose your point. You have a great point, but it's so difficult to read that I can't follow along, and perhaps your classmates cannot either, and so that presents a problem. You must express opinions and ideas in a clear and concise manner with obvious connection to the topic. Now, when I talk about your opinions and ideas, yes, there is a place for that, but they're based on the facts of the situation. In your opinion, this is the solution. In your opinion, this is the right thing to do, based on my reading of page 254, paragraph 3 of our text. Okay, that's what I mean. Now, I'm not getting into MLA format and APA format and all that type of thing. I just want you to do some references where I can see clearly. So students must use in-text citations as well as that kind of biography work cited below. You can, at the end of your post, simply reference the textbook. Don't say the textbook. Your textbook has a name. I gave you the name at the top of the syllabus. You need to reference the textbook like you would in a works cited. I'm not going to dock for every comma and thing, but it needs to look like a reference, right? Like a works cited. But where exactly did you use that? Because if you said, in my opinion, are you saying that the book is your opinion? That's not right. Okay, so you need to somehow put in that text, you have to indicate to me, where did you use that page? And maybe you used 2 or 3 pages. So tell me where you used this one, and tell me, and if you referenced a website, make that reference. Put it in there so I can click on it and go straight to it. If you tell me that you referenced MSNBC, CNN, the Daily News, whatever the site might be, if I go to the main page, and you didn't give me any other information, then if I don't see it, then that's not a valid reference. So you need to give me a link specifically to that reference so that I can go see it. I want to read about it. That's how I learn. Okay, so I know you know how to do in-text citations, the part of English Comp 1, and again, I'm not looking for a term paper, just something that's well thought out and rooted in facts, and I want you to help me find those facts, that how you interpreted those things. That's where your opinion kind of comes in, and how you demonstrate your knowledge. All right, let me try to get through and wrap this up a little bit. Here, this is it. As a student, show me what you've learned. Don't assume you already know, as people already know. Oh, well, Dr. McGrory, you know that. Well, that's not the point. You're being assessed on your ability to demonstrate what you've learned. So that's what you're going to do. Of course, follow all the discussion guidelines, be respectful, that type of thing. And they're in the syllabus. So Connect module test, of course there's going to be 3. There are no drop grades. They each cover 3 to 4 chapters, 50 questions, 2 points apiece, total of 100 points. Questions are multiple choice. They're going to be like the quiz, drawn from a pool of questions. How do you study? Use your Learn Smarts, which will be in recharge mode. You can use that late work as a study tool as well. You have 3 attempts on this, and so I hope that you do your best. I only record your highest attempt in PAWS. Connect is going to show you the average, but that's what Connect is doing. Connect is Connect. When I record that grade in PAWS, I will email you and I'll say, I just posted your grade in PAWS. I need you to look at it, make sure it's accurate, and I'll ask you to do that. Please stop now. Don't click that little bell because you're not getting the feedback that you need to keep improving. If I type a whole bunch of feedback, which I do, for the discussion questions, your first one will probably not be as good as your second posting. So I'm going to give you feedback to help you improve, to do better on that second posting and that third posting. If you're not reading it, you're probably going to keep making the same mistake. So I'm going to tell you, don't click that little bell where you only see a number. Instead, you're going to click on assessment and then grades and scroll down to read all that feedback in PAWS so that you're getting all this information. But I'm going to email you and say those grades are posted. You say, yeah, but I don't read your email. Okay, how's that working? I have to tease you about that because I do hear that. Students will say that to me. Do you believe that? And they'll say, I don't read your emails. Okay, well, you're missing important information. So I hope you do, because I really try to communicate. Okay, so here you go. The questions for each attempt will be randomly selected from a list of questions. So each attempt will likely be a unique set of questions. No drop grade for the test. Make sure you're doing those. Now, remember the makeup, but you cannot make up the Module 3 test because the semester will be over in week 10. If you missed test 1 or test 2, or if you did poorly, you just want to try again, you'll have that opportunity, but there will be a 10% penalty. All right, a little bit more, participation and attendance. If you have a letter of accommodation, please reach out to me. Make sure that I've received that. I am glad to work with you. I'm delighted you're here. I think this is a great course for everybody, and I welcome everybody into the course. And I really hope that you see that I'm hoping that you succeed. I really want you to succeed. If also, this is great. There's been a lot of hardship this year, and there's hardship all the time. And if you need mental health counseling, Southwest provides that as a free service, and you don't even have to tell me. You can reach directly out. Here's the contact information. Also, did you know that Southwest has a food bank, and we can, if you need it, connect you to community resources. I have had students who are homeless. I've had students who have lived in their car, who have lost housing for a variety of reasons, and we can connect you with resources. So use that. You are a college student, you are a Southwest student, and these people, by connecting through this, you can also email me if you need help, and I'll help you connect to those resources. Okay, so know that that's there. Know that that's there for you. So anyway, any additional policies, again, I'm communicating with you via PAWS and with Southwest email. We're going to use PAWS, we're going to use Connect, but your official grades, that record is always going to be in PAWS. All right, so tech support information in case you need that. Something goes wrong with Connect, it's locking you out, you're getting error messages, just really make sure you're immediately getting with Connect. Let me know that you're having problems, but you still got those due dates, and so you need to make sure you're on that. If you're struggling with PAWS, there's the contact information there. Computer issues, I'm also including in my email to you that Southwest has a laptop loan program. If you need a PC, then take advantage of that laptop loan program. Don't forget you can go to campus. Nice quiet place to work. They've got computers, high-speed internet, air conditioning for the summer, so don't hesitate to take advantage. The campus is open, okay? All right, so that is all the information that you need. I will demonstrate the assignments, but I realize that this is almost a 90-minute class, right? So, an hour and 27 minutes. So if we met, this would be like a class meeting, but you can, watch the video in chunks to make sure you can properly digest the information. Thank you, folks, and I'm looking forward to a really great semester and a wonderful summer. And we'll be seeing you very soon for the start of class on June 1st. And I'm probably going to send this video a couple times just to make sure that as students are continuing to enroll in the class, that everybody gets the opportunity to get familiar with the class materials. Thank you, folks. Appreciate you.